Greetings! Hello, my loves. We are making luxury chaotic again today. Can you hear? Hi, I'm Khaki. We're gonna be playing with new Chanel Spring 2024. We have the new blush.
Stop it. Get some help.
She's adorable. This is the Roses Coquillage. I speak French. Powder blush duo. Ooh, ah. Let's see the embossing. Come on, there it is. And you can see I've had the chance to play with these. Then I have the Le Four Ombres, the Coral Treasure Quad. And I also have had the chance to play with this. Ooh, ah. Went ahead and threw out the little sponge tips because they're just not my gig. And then finally, the thing that actually, there it is, made me want to pull the trigger on all this stuff in the first place is that they came out with a new BAUME ESSENTIEL in Mermaid Glow. Ooh, ah, she cute. I love the BAUME ESSENTIEL, and on excuse to buy a new one, I'm happy to take it. So we're gonna actually like play with other things because yes, I want this to be indexable, people to be able to find it as a Chanel review, and there will be timestamps, but also the people who are already here, who subscribe to my channel, all 90 point whatever thousand of you, I want to keep you entertained. I am not entertained. I actually want to, like, you know, put other stuff on my face too and chat while we do so, and I have a lot of new stuff. I've spent so much money on makeup lately, and I have so much stuff that I want to play with. And so if it doesn't get in the way of the scientific nature of this review, then I'm gonna use something new if I can. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm trepidatious about this, but I bought this. This is a Louboutin Fetish Fluid, the new foundation, and this is the wrong color. Okay, I'll just go ahead and say it. I got 15 NW, and it was between that and like 10N or something, and 10N looked like it was going to be ghostly. That's the one that Hood Miss Tom bought, and so you can see it on their channel pretty soon. I'm gonna try and do the best that I can. I have yet to actually put this all over my face yet. It might be a disaster, darling, but we're gonna make it work. So the reason that I am applying this instead of buying the next better shade is because I tried to buy the next better shade from Nordstrom and then they canceled my order. So womp womp for that for me, and I just didn't feel like waiting to order it from Neiman's. If I like it enough or if I'm curious enough, I will go ahead and buy the next shade and maybe mix them together. I just want to go ahead and see if it's like as bad as I think it's gonna be. It's kind of green. It's kind of green, but that's good news. I mean, any investigation, it's news you can use for somebody, because my olive friends, y'all could take this under advisement that, like, they call it neutral warm, but it is quite olive. You know what? It's not great, and I hope it doesn't oxidize, but it's not terrible. I've definitely seen, I'll pin one on Tati. I've seen Tati do worse. For something that's low coverage, I don't feel like I have to just spackle myself with it. And the finish is supposed to be kind of like a soft matte, I think. She's like $77, absolutely wild, but I had to know. Louboutin puts out, you know what I mean? I love luxury, and I have to know if Louboutin is a brand that I need to be taking into consideration when we talk about like makeup releases. So let's go in with a maybe more helpful concealer shade that will kind of help keep this on the rails. I don't think it's off the rails, but it could get off the rails if we bronze too hard and like use too dark of a concealer. I'm gonna go Givenchy today. I haven't used the Prisme Libre in a minute, and why not, you know? And we'll just try and help ease into my neckline so that we don't end up with like a Kris Jenner line of demarcation. Man, I'm just roasting everybody today. Yeah, yep. All that. My forehead, I don't know what it is about my forehead. It just seems to like log all of my sins. It's just keeping track of everything that I've ever done wrong. And when I decide to do an actives purge, like bring out the retinols or the glycolics or the lactic acids or whatever, my forehead is the one that's like, I have something to say. You have wronged me, and here are 15 reasons why. You know, they're just like all over my forehead. And that skin is so thin because I Botox, and I've been Botoxing for like 5 or 6 years now. And so it's like when I get kind of like a pore that's got something in it, oh, it's so hard to resist it because it's just sticking out there. It's just like, hey, it would be so easy to just empty me out. And I'm like, I am having a mediocre day. Why don't I make it worse? Like what Tom says. Tom's like, I can devastate myself. One of my favorite quotes from them ever. I can break my own heart. I can devastate myself. So this does seem like Dayquil khaki. I know that. I seem like I'm really on one, but what it actually is NyQuil at 2 a.m. khaki. That's what's happening here. I couldn't go to yoga today because I woke up so dizzy. I put myself to bed last night. I was exhausted. I've been sick and I'm just like trying to just heal, and I just was like, it was a long weekend, and when you have a kid, long weekends take on a whole new meaning, and I was exhausted. So I put myself to bed at like 7:30 last night, and I took my melatonin and I took some NyQuil because I have a cough. Fantastic, but then, you know, woke up bug-eyed at 2 a.m. like you do. And so I was like, whatever, I'll take another dose. I did, and I fell back asleep, and that's fine. I'll wait. Thank you. Apparently one of the side effects, if you kind of double dose like that, not like take two at the same time, but like if you take them back to back, is that it can make you really dizzy. So I woke up this morning and I was like, oh, whoa. If there's anything I know about myself right now, it's that I do not need to be upside down. And so I did not go to yoga today, and I have a lot of energy. Okay, I may let you regret these words, but that's not bad. That's not bad, Louboutin. That's like, I mean, it makes me look a little bit tan. It's like somewhere in between my skin tone and my hyperpigmentation tone, but it's workable. We're not going to put bronzer on first. I want to show you the Chanel before I add anything that might obscure the colors. But I do want to powder just a little bit so that I don't immediately hard pan this blush. And I did very deftly go in and scrape the whole top layer that had hard panned off of my Kosas, so she looks pretty good right now. I'm gonna take something kind of big and fluffy and do something I never do, and that is like kind of powder all over. I don't know if that's gonna be a horrible idea, but we'll find out together. I have this Surratt brush that I think is like really expensive. I didn't pay for it, but we'll use that. Someone told me it was like $300 or something. They sent it to me. But the Kosas is great for taking the shine down, taking the grip down, which is what I'm really trying to do. I just don't want to add moisture back into my blush, but it's not super mattifying, hopefully. So there's that. Now let's go in, commence with the Chanel blush. I'm a big fan of their like seasonal blush releases so far. The fall ones, that's hard to top, to be honest. There's a Mockingbird just absolutely having the time of her life out there. You go, girl. Bring spring, okay? Winter has been put on notice. But this is what she looks like. I have to admit, it's a little cheesy. It's a little cheesy. Just the way that like, there's the little water droplets with the rings, and then there's like, you know, little Chanel in there. It does say Chanel, but it's still kind of giving Maybelline. And I paid for luxury. The prices just keep going up. I already put it on the screen. You already know, even though I can't remember. However, I cannot deny that this is a beautiful blush. She is perfectly pigmented. She is spring in a swipe, and I just can't be mad at her. I really think that I will be using this, like I have had trouble lately deciding what blush I was going to reach for because, I don't know, I guess I got in a lull. My collection came out, I, you know, beat that to death. And now I'm kind of back in a springtime mood, but I love that this is doing pink and coral together so I don't have to decide. And it's quite low pigment and builds really slowly. I would say it builds at about the same rate that the Pat McGrath blushes do. And I will swatch each of these against some other blushes in my collection, and I will also swatch like the combo, you know, so that you can see as well, because not that you're going to take a little brush and try and like use one or the other, but maybe in a pinch you might want to. Like I'm probably just gonna like swish it all around. But you see, it's very much like the Pat McGrath blushes in the sense that like I can just really go nuts and it doesn't look like I'm going nuts. I mean, maybe to some people it does, but I love blush, so. And it's cute. I just think it's really cute. And there's no bronzer or anything yet, but I wanna go ahead and get the eyes on before we bronze and stuff because I think I'm gonna wanna go in with like my bronzer and my contour in my eye look because this color story doesn't really, and I knew that going in, it's not even a read, it doesn't give the opportunity to build a lot of dimension. It's just spring colors, okay? And I'm accepting it for what it is. Like typically I would have this spiel about like, oh, a quad is supposed to be something that you can build a look out of and blah, blah, blah. I knew going into this that these are just supposed to be like 4 exciting spring colors, and that's what it is. Alrighty. So I'm gonna really just see how much drama I can get out of this because I I went in with this earlier to just kind of test the waters, and what I found was that they really don't build very quickly. And so even though these are, hi Natalie, I love you, I'll answer you in a minute. Even though these are quite vibrant colors, again, very typical of a luxury formula, they build slowly. You can get this like really soft kind of like, no one's gonna notice that you put like orange and like peach on your eye that day. It's just gonna be kind of a soft haze, or you can build it up like I'm gonna try to today. So I'm actually gonna go in mostly with the like darker orange on the lid and like see how much cute we can get out of it. I kind of want to mix the two, see if we can achieve this like similar coral look that I have on my cheeks, the pinky coral. It's just giving me like Easter bunny vibes. I don't know. I'm so ready for spring. My birthday's April 4th, like Aries season. I'm so ready for Aries season. Pisces season can choke, and nobody even takes that personally, because if you're a Pisces, you understand why no one else likes Pisces season. We honor you, we appreciate you, but Pisces season is really hard for everybody who's not a Pisces, okay? Especially Aries. It's just a lot. We're swimming around in deep, primordial, historical, ancient feelings, and that's just not where we belong. It just isn't. It just isn't. I've been a little too deep in my feels lately, and I would like to not be in my feels as much. Alrighty, I think I'm gonna prime. I actually think I'm gonna prime. I'm gonna grab whatever I have on deck, let's see. Hate to do this to y'all because these have been sold out for a long time. I know that Hindash is working on things coming back into stock, but all of his stuff has been out of stock for a long time. Nonetheless, if you have canvas on hand, canvas makes a fantastic canvas for one's eyes. This is in his color fluid. I just want these shades that are very springy and joyful to show up springy and joyful in this particular look. They do, like I said, create a very pretty haze on the eyes if you want them to, but that is what you would expect. And it's not particularly entertaining to watch. Do a little bit of that. And we're going to take a BK212 and I'm gonna just start in, boop, 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 with our deeper orange friend over here. I'm just gonna work that kind of everywhere. Probably should have used like a flat brush to do that, but I didn't. Or maybe my finger would work better. Brushes aren't really doing the trick. I'm gonna take my finger and do this. Yeah, because I want it to really come through. I want to do justice to it because I am wearing blue. I do have a skin tone that is complemented well by a peachy orange like this. This isn't like a super burnt orange. It's like a very nice springy orange that I feel like is gonna work nicely as the local color, but this is not what a Chanel shadow wants to do. It does not want to build in a placement kind of application method. It wants to be wafted and fluffed, but with the right tools and the right techniques, you can get a lot out of it. Isn't that pretty? So I will now, for my next trick, grab that shade on a BK207, which is just this blunt one. We'll go underneath my eyes with that as well. We're gonna end up with this kind of like tangerine dream happening. Oh, and does it get any springier? Where should we put the pink? I think the pink goes in the crease. So I'm actually gonna take that same brush because it's gonna do a better job of placing it and work the pink into the crease and then kind of fluff it up into the rest of the eye look. And they don't have to stay perfectly distinct. This is fortunately a color story that none of them flies in the face of one another. So if you mix them together, you're not gonna end up with mud, which is great. You can just kind of have fun if these are colors that are fun for you. Oddly, I think that the orange really flatters brown eyes. I'm grabbing that same color on a fluffy brush and wafting it up here. Ooh. So you can see when you do start to just blend it, that's what it wants to do. It wants to just gently blend. And I kind of like to see Chanel doing something a little bit different. You know, I think that a lot of times we think of it as like neutral, being sold to a certain type of people at the makeup counter and like everything stays really safe. And I kind of like that it's not that safe. It's just, it's a little weird. A little bit more pink. And then I will take the lighter orange and I'm just gonna kind of place that on my inner third here. Same goes for underneath. And I'm punching in there because like, it just doesn't really like want to, it's not gonna run away from you. They're very, very low pigment, but in like a committed way, it does feel high quality. And like I said, I'm probably gonna end up going in with a little bit of like my bronzer, my contour to like create some more like light and shadow that's believable. But the final color that we have here, the final girl, if you will, is this kind of iridescent purpley pink. It's like a cool lilac that is very reminiscent to me of that Chantecaille palette last spring that I just didn't love because it was tough for me to wear that color, but we're gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it kind of on the inner corner right there because it is a really fascinating kind of glint that it adds, and I feel like it's an easier to use texture than that one was. That one was just very much just like a satin shadow. This one mirrors the mermaid glow of the BAUME ESSENTIEL that came out with it. So it is kind of unified, even if it's a little weird, and it's sheer. So you can put it up on your brow bone and it's just gonna give texture, not necessarily like a weird like depth or something, you know? You don't want to necessarily, like if you're trying to highlight and something's darker than your skin, you don't want that. So I do like that it's a little bit funky and weird, but it's like funky and weird Chanel, you know? Like it's still like, no matter how much I build that up, it's still going to look subtle and Chanel. So let me do my bronzer and my contour. I'm gonna kind of pull it to the back of my cheeks and then also into my eye look a little bit. And I will also like finish out my mascara and my eyeliner and my brows. And then we're gonna come back and talk about the BAUME ESSENTIEL. And then we will finish out with some lips and I'll give you all my final thoughts. She said color. I was going through, I was like, no, this is not the time for a brown eyeliner. This is the Victoria Beckham like bright green eyeliner that they came out with last year, and I made a reel about them and I love them, and I still love them. I used a blue one recently. Like they're just so effective, and something about the ease of that formula makes it like so much less intimidating to do something off the beaten path for me like this. And I think it's kind of cool because it like brings in the spring of it all. I don't have to explain it to you. Anyway, let's talk about this BAUME ESSENTIEL real quick. I actually want to put on a little bit more blush first. If you're new to my channel, everyone else just rolled their eyes. They're like, no duh, Khaki. I mean, of course you do. Like, want to put on more blush? I always want to put on more blush. That's why I have merch that says more blush. Now, we are ready for this Mermaid Glow BAUME ESSENTIEL. So I'm going to pull out the BAUME ESSENTIEL, if I can. Yes, in Dragé. Oh wow, they're not similar. No, they're not that similar. Okay, so Dragé is quite pink and like a little bit more pigmented, and I use it as like a touch up to my blush, a highlighter, and like it will even help your under eyes. And they make a clear one, they make like a bronzy one. Now Mermaid Glow, y'all, has individual sporkles in it, and that is going to either attract you or repel you, but be aware that this is different. This is different. This is going to have actual like shifting multi-chrome glitter in it. Because it's a mermaid. It's for mermaids. It's if you want to be a mermaid or a person, a merson. And what we do is we kind of place it right there in 4K. So you can see exactly how freaking beautiful it is. And like I said, it very much mimics the shade that's in the eyeshadow palette. And so I like a fully fleshed out concept, you know? I just like a vision. I like when something has a strong point of view, even if it's not exactly my like comfort zone. I love when it's like they've packed you a lunch of like, hey, this is how to make these things work, and when you put them together, it's pretty user-friendly. And honestly, like if they had really backed away from something multi-chromatic on something called Mermaid Glow, I would have been a little disappointed. So they did not. You're definitely getting the mermaid glow of it all. And I think that that's just a really, really good thing to point out, because there are people who are like, absolutely not. I do not want detectable glitter on my visage. And then there are people who are like, finally, the BAUME ESSENTIEL in a color that I actually am excited about. So let's pick a lip. Apologies, had to change my battery, but gave me a chance to go into my stash and find what I really had in mind, which I think is gonna work for us today. So this is the Yensa Luxe Lip Oil in the shade Pink Shine, because if I'm really being honest, what we ended up with is a very pink look, unabashedly so. And Yensa actually just sent me their Chinese New Year collection, their Lunar New Year collection, and it had a couple more of these glosses, and I was just reminded how much I love them, and they smell like watermelon. It was really nice, like watermelon candy. And they're just juicy. Look at that. Like, okay, Yensa, yes. Ooh, perfect. I love it when I hit the nail on the head. Okay. I'm gonna pull some blushes that I think are worth comparing to this. Some powder blushes specifically. Swatch party, swatch party, swatch party, swatch party, swatch party! Y'all have told me that this is the most valuable exercise that we do on my channel is when we do the comparison swatches. And by God, it really is the whole point of having this huge collection, so let's go. So I'm gonna start by swatching the new Chanel with the fall Chanel, because I think many people will probably be curious how this compares to the coral that came out in the fall. This is where we're facing. Okay, so those are the two shades. My swatches are not amazing, but those are the two shades in the new one. And then if you swoosh them together, you end up with this beautiful, vibrant pink, right? Very low pigment, very easy to use. And then this is the Equinox blush in Beige et Corail, the coral one from fall, which is just so beautifully desaturated, just totally different. Quite orange. Again, my swatches are never particularly elegant, but they get the job done. And Chanel's kind of tough to swatch anyway, because they're just not meant to be, you know, Morphe pigmented, right? They don't necessarily rank their quality on their pigmentation. It's about it being elegant and easy to use. Next, I have Pomelo Peach from Haus Labs. This is a quite pigmented formula, but also very beautiful and easy to wear. And she fits right in there. Honestly, that really just looks like the combo of the two. So if you've got Pomelo Peach, skip it. Honestly, that is right on the money. I have Surratt here. Peau de Pêche, that's what this is. This is Peau de Pêche. And that's the one that's gonna be the most similar out of those. So let's do that. Peau de Pêche looks a lot like the orange. Not the orange, but like, you know, there's a coral and a pink kind of thing. It looks a lot like the coral. So if you had your eye on that part, I would skip it. Oh, I brought the other Haus Labs one too, because obviously the other one's pink, right in the same family, honestly. Like, it's exactly what I was focusing on this time last year. I was buying blushes in those duos of colors because that's what makes sense to me, is to be able to balance out kind of the cool and the warm. It very much informed my summer abroad collection. I did kind of beiges and corals, but nonetheless, yeah, I mean, we're not in unfamiliar territory here, Chanel. I pulled some obvious ones. I pulled Dior Coral, and this is, I think, the old formula, but the color should be the same. They're just a little chalkier now. It's very right in line. And also it's got the same amount of pigmentation, that kind of low pigment, as the Chanel. And then the other kind of intuitive one, right, would be the Givenchy Prisme Libre blush, and it's in its coral shade here. Oh, as usual, that one just blows my mind. You can't really see it, but up close, it's just got this much more, I don't know, like glowy texture. I love that blush so much. I'm very excited to get back into like spring colors. And you can see it's more pigmented than everything else, but it's super, super finely milled. And I would say it is right on par with the coral in the Chanel duo. Then I have 30 from the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk blushes, their beautiful coral that they did. And that's really, really similar to Surratt in Peau de Pêche, but more pigmented. We have a couple of the RMS ones. I'm gonna switch arms here. So I have RMS Bohemian Girl. These are just mainly to compare to the pinks, and French Rosé. These are iridescent. They do have a shift to them. French Rosé is less of a shift than Bohemian Girl, but regardless, it is worth noting they are also like much, much, much more pigmented. Like, it's just a very, very different formula to interact with. I also have Giorgio Armani in 50, which is gonna be this like iridescent pink. It's kind of my iridescent arm now. So, you know, pinker than everything else for sure. Cooler toned than the Chanel one. And then we have two more. I brought out the Make Beauty in Amber Glow. I just feel like it's gonna be pretty similar. Very similar to the Peau de Pêche and to the Armani Coral, right? And then you have, she's not pretentious. No, she owns Milani Luminoso. It's like the only drugstore product that I actually use. And you can see why, because it's beautiful. So I think that the big takeaway here is you probably already have this in your collection. Is it a collector's item in the sense that Chanel came out with something seasonally and it's fun and it's beautiful? Yes. Is it undupable? Absolutely not. This exists in so many places. I will link all of those below, but I would say that Haus Labs Pomelo Peach was the closest to being the color of the two mixed together, which is how I would use them anyway. So yeah, I think that kind of covers my final thoughts on the blush. It's beautiful, it's useful, it's low pigment in the sense that it's very slow to build, very user-friendly, very Chanel, even though it looks quite vibrant in the pan. It's very easy to use. On its face, it gets a great review from me, but that's not the entirety of my job here on my channel. The rest of my job, honestly, the primary part of my job is to tell you how it compares to the rest of the world of luxury beauty, and it already exists in so many other places. If you have any of those blushes that I just swatched, hopefully that was helpful context for you. If you've been salivating over this, it's like, it could be a reason that you know you're absolutely going to like it, or it could be a reason to be like, I can pass on that one because she's not inexpensive and it's not an uncommon color way at all. Now, as for the eyeshadow palette, that's a pretty uncommon quad. I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience, I guess, with like these kinds of like springy quads, but like that's unique. And I feel like what it gave me was unique, and it's still in like the Chanel formula that you're used to, where things build slowly and you don't have to go this vibrant on your eyes. It can be just kind of like a slow wash if you want it to, but it's happy. And I think that the mermaid glow of it all is the big selling point. Do you want a Chanel formula of this kind of uncommon for them, refractive multi-chrome glitter kind of look? It's not going to look anything like an indie shadow multi-chrome, but the pigments, the particles in there are multi-chromatic. And if you're excited about that, I can vouch for the fact that it is mirrored in Mermaid Glow. Mermaid Glow gives the same multi-chromatic glitter, which is kind of interesting that Chanel did that. It doesn't feel like a particularly... It feels young. I don't want to say juvenile, but it does feel young to put multi-chromatic glitter particles into a BAUME ESSENTIEL, but like that's why there are so many shades in it. You know, I don't mind it. I think it's quite pretty. Is it something that I would wear over dragé? No. Like, I would rather have gotten something that had a little bit more of a neutral glow to it. I like the texture of this product without glitter shimmer more personally. Like, if you've watched much of my channel, you know that this is not typically a look I would go for. Am I against it? No. Did I have a lot of fun doing it? Yes. But it's more just for like example purposes than is this going to be something that I want you to follow as a tutorial? And if you do, like fine, you know what I mean? It's a cool look. And like, I think that these get the job done in that respect without necessarily looking like your makeup is entering the room before you. It's just kind of like a cool, interesting thing for someone to notice. But is the spring collection as completely undupably remarkable as the fall collection was? No. No. I hope that really what this gives you is like a well-rounded idea of what it is, like what it performs like, what it looks like, and then you can make the decision for yourself whether it's good or whether it's what you want. But it is good for what it is. Is it my cup of tea? Meh. Not necessarily. I will continue using the blush, and it will also continue being something that I swatch things against in future videos. But other than that, I hope that this was helpful for y'all. If it was, please do give the video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. If you are new here and you have not yet subscribed, I would love it if you would also subscribe to my channel. We do a lot of this, a lot of luxury beauty, a lot of color theory, and swatch comparisons so that you can make more educated buying decisions. So hopefully that sounds good to you. Subscribe, and I will put a video up here that I think that you will enjoy if you liked this one. I love you all so very, very much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!